presenting on a topic which says predicting COVID-19 from chest X-ray images using optimized convolution neural network. COVID-19 is caused by a virus known as SARS-CoV-2. SARS means severe acute respiratory distress syndrome. As we know, COVID-19 can be spread from person to person, mainly through having contact with an infected person. COVID-19 has even put most best healthcare system across the world under tremendous pressure. As we can see that many people have died as a result of massive alveolar damage and progressive respiratory failure caused by this virus. And one of the most important steps of combating this COVID-19 is to diagnose infected patients early enough. And chest X-ray images are crucial and can be used to diagnose this disease. Has been useful in many CAD framework and in medical imaging applications such as COVID-19. This study applies optimized CNN to support the diagnosis of COVID-19 using chest X-ray. Statement of problem. Reversal transcription polymerase chain reaction is very expensive, and this is most of the standard methods used to detect COVID-19. And due to its expensive nature, we can also see that it is characterized by false positive. Those people who don't have COVID-19 are diagnosed to have, and then be subjected to various treatments, which is not too good. Now, as a result of the financial cost implication of laboratory kits and artificial intelligence has been used to support the diagnosis of COVID-19. CNN is a deep learning techniques has also been used in this respect, but it suffers from hyperparameter problem and can be solved using an optimization techniques. Particle swarm optimization is used to optimize hyperparameters of CNN for suitable training and optimum performance. Purpose of this study, we adopt a transfer learning BGG19 to overcome the overfitting problem caused by limited number of training images in deep learning. Optimization of hyperparameters of CNN using PSO, and using the optimized CNN model to diagnose COVID-19 patients using the X-ray images. An evaluation of the techniques using metrics such as accuracy, sensitivity, precision, false positive rate, and prediction time. Literature review. PSO is an optimization algorithm which is very easy to implement and also have the advantage of fast convergence speed. And convolutional neural network is a deep learning neural network that models the animal visual cortex, and it has been used to solve many complex image segmentation and classification. And the strength lies in a deep architecture. Now, just as I said, several researchers has worked using CNN, and we can see some of their performance. Methodology. This is the methodology. The first is to acquisition of test X-ray images, preprocess the images, optimize the hyperparameters of CNN using PSO, and to use the optimized CNN for feature extraction, and then for thereafter result evaluation. This is the data acquisition. We actually acquired the chest X-ray images from Kaggle repository database, and this data set contain images of COVID-19 patients and also normal patients. As we can see on the screen, that the first two images represent the normal patient, and while the second set of images represents the COVID-19 patient. And For this study, we make use of 1,560 chest images, out of which we made use of 93 for testing and 624 for testing purpose. And out of the testing, the one used for testing, 390, we have 319 normal patients and 234 COVID-19 patients. Now the preprocessing, we can see the various steps which was used in preprocessing the images. Here we use the Gaussian blood image, contrast adjustment, and also segmentation. Image resizing and data augmentation was used so as to make the images to be suitable for the VGG9. Now this is the optimized CNN techniques. The right-hand part shows the steps for the particle swarm optimization. The optimal solution from the particle swarm optimization was used to optimize the VGG19 network model. And the VGG19 architecture was displayed on the right side of the slide. As you can see, that VGG, it has about 16 convolutionary layers and 5 pooling layers and also 3 dense layers. And we see that after training the network, we use softmax to predict whether it is a normal patient or a COVID-19 patient. Result and discussion. The techniques was implemented using MATLAB on a Windows 10 64-bit operating system, and we can see the contingency table for the classification using the optimized CNN techniques. And the optimized CNN techniques to classify the correctly classified the 319 normal images, was able to classify about 386 to be truly positive and also have false negative. And it also wrongly classified one of the images as false positive and truly classified 233 of the images as true negative. We also see the other parts, the unoptimized CNN, the normal standard CNN. We can see that it's wrongly classified about 12 normal images, which is the false negative, and wrongly classified 9 as the false positive. As a result of this, we are able to achieve a low false positive rate of 0.43% against the 3.89% for the standard CNN techniques. And we can also see that the optimization of CNN actually brings down the prediction time. We can infer from this that the optimized CNN model gave an increased 2.57 accuracy, 2.05% sensitivity, 3.42 specificity, and 2.0 precision. And we are able to decrease the false positive rate at 3.42% over the CNN model. We can see that the optimization of CNN brings about more accuracy, more sensitivity, and it's more specific and more precise. And the outcome of this research revealed that the optimized CNN model outperformed the CNN model in prediction of COVID-19 using the chest X-ray. Conclusion: the optimization of parameters of CNN is justified in that it achieved a reduced false positive rate and improved prediction rate. Also, it reduces the computational complexity associated with deep learning techniques. It is evident that the performance of the optimized CNN model was well matched with some existing techniques. Hence, it will achieve a more accurate and computational efficient CAT system, which will help radiologists to interpret and classify in the interpretation and classification of chest X-ray in diagnosing COVID-19. The proposed system is recommended for use in clinical practices for quick and accurate diagnosis of the disease. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. That's Dr. Ogutoye. So the next presenter now will be Ojuawo. Yeah. Next presenter now is Ojuawo Ochi et al. That's discussing on the spacing effect on agrometric and chemical characteristics of Moringa oleifera. Yeah. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. Kindly bear the updated version was not the one printed in the proceeding. So, I am Ojuawo Oti. I'm presenting on quality assessment of Moringa oleifera herbage as supplement to Panicum maximum basal diet in growing West African dwarf bucks from the Department of Animal Production and Health, Lautech. Nutrition is one of the factors that contribute to body maintenance and production. And meanwhile, it has been observed that livestock responds to different meals in various ways, depending on the age of feed and whether the feed is old diet or a supplemental one. The aim is to assess the response of wild goats to Moringa oleifera and Panicum maximum herbage in terms of intake, the digestibility coefficient, nitrogen utilization, and hematological profile, with the view to increase human protein intake. Specific, the dry matter intake, the average daily gain and feed conversion ratio were determined. The nutrient digestibility coefficients were estimated. Also the nitrogen utilization and the hematological profile of the wild bugs before and after the study. Materials and method. The experimental site was at the sheep and goats unit of Lautech Teaching and Research Farm. And the design was a Latin square design in which the 5 bugs, that is male goats, were randomly assigned to these 5 experimental diets, in which treatment was maximum, varying inclusion level at 25, 50, and 75%. Purely the data management of animal kept in so the time period, the adjustment for 21 days, and all these things viewed to stabilize the animals at the pen. Thereafter, experimental diets were exposed to the animals, and feed intake was evaluated by estimating, by subtracting the leftovers of the animals, the feed offered to them. The nutrient digestibility coefficient was also estimated by subtracting from the feed offered and multiplied by 100%. The nitrogen balance, the urine samples from each of the animals were collected laboratory for analysis. Before the hematological study, in which the PCV, the packed cell volume, the hemoglobin, the white blood cells were determined in the lab, and thereafter, at the end of the study, they were also analyzed. The laboratory analysis for those feed samples, feces, were done. All statistical analysis using the SAS analytical package of version 9.2, and treatment means were separated using Duncan at 5% level. Results and description. Table 1 shows the nutrient composition of Moringa oleifera and Panicum maximum herbage. And for the dry matter, they were so close. But for the crude fiber, that of Moringa oleifera was low compared to that of Panicum, simply because Panicum maximum is a grass, while oleifera is a multipurpose plant which is known for high low crude fiber content. Table 2 shows the nutrient composition of the experimental diets when they were analyzed. The organic matter content was highest at treatment 2. Then the crude fiber content was high at treatment 1, simply because it's purely grass that was offered to the animal. Then the nitrogen-free extract was also high at treatment 2. Now, the organic matter content is the nutrient that will be made the animal, and this shows that treatment 2 will likely have a greater impact. Treatment 3 shows the performance characteristics of the wild bugs when fight the feed. The highest total dry matter intake, that is gram per animal per day, animals offered treatment 2 diet, and that is at 25 nutrition level. So also the total dry matter intake when expressed stage of weight. The other performance parameters, the total weight change, the average daily weight gain, and the feed conversion ratio were also high for treatment 2. Now, for the nutrient digestibility, similar trend was also observed. The nitrogen utilization also revealed similarly, because the nitrogen retained in the body was highest among the animals offered treatment 2 diet, and that was at 75.22%. This is the table showing the mean difference of the hematological parameters. That is the differences between the initial and the final when these blood samples were collected. The mean values were also, the mean differences were also high among animals exposed to treatment 2 diet. So in conclusion, supplementation of Moringa oleifera herbage with Guinea grass basal diet provided enough crude protein and crude fiber content, which were within the recommended ranges of the nutrient requirements of the wild goats. And the nutrient analysis revealed that combination of 75% for Moringa oleifera herbage and Guinea grass was significant for high crude protein, dry matter, and crude fiber. Also, other parameters revealed similarly. And it was also observed that at inclusions which exceeded 25%, there were reduced efficiency of protein utilization, reduced weight change, which resulted into high feed conversion ratio. And the health status revealed that at that inclusion level, it could be a threat to the health of the goats. Recommendation: human protein intake in terms of meat in southwestern Nigeria, where wild goat is prevalent, could be improved by including 25% Moringa oleifera herbage in the diet of growing bugs. Moringa oleifera supplements therefore satisfactorily complement low-protein forage for improved growth of wild goats. Here are some of my references. Thanks for your rapt attention.
Please, can you give a round of applause, please? Yeah. Thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah. The next center is, I think that will be the last person. And, okay. Mr. Adebayo, that is it Dr. Adebayo S. is presenting on a computer vision and control algorithm on unmanned area vehicle for smart farm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to present a topic on computer vision and control algorithm on unmanned area vehicle, UAV, for smart farm. Now, according to Kimon et al. 2010, it shows that there is a need to bridge the gap in Africa data, in order to strengthen food, health, and economic security, and overcome a predicted continent-wide recession. Now, there's a need to invest in digital agriculture to help Africa. Study by Food and Agricultural Organization predicted that by 2025, the population of the world will be 8 billion, and by 2050, it will be 9.6 billion. And unfortunately, half of this population will be in countries like India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Ethiopia, Tunisia, USA, and some others. So unfortunately, Nigeria is part of the country that will have this overpopulation. Therefore, they propose that if food production could increase by just 70%, we'll be able to accomplish food security. And that will take care of the first goal and the second goal of the SDGC. Else, there could be food insecurity. Thus, there's a need for us to find better ways of improving our agriculture output. Now, precision farming or smart farming is the art and science of using technology to enhance crop production by providing data to enhance decision making, reduce waste, increase profit, and protect the environment. Now, a technology which is computer vision is the field of informatics, which is a way of a computer gathering and interpreting visual information around its environment. So it's like using machine to interpret, see vision, see its environment, and interpret. In agriculture, this is the traditional method. This is the problem we have. Farmers go to the farm, inspect their farm, and based on the experience of the farmer, he knows when this farm is to be infected or is having infection. So there's a need to take decision. At times, some of these pests or some of these infections are very smart. So farmers devise means of protecting its farm. And you can see it from figure there showing like a human being on the farm so as to prevent some of these pests. And at times, it uses a lot of time, wastes a lot of time to scare away this pest so that it can have return on its investment. Now, one major pest which we looked at is the quilla birds, which affect rice farm. And study shows that 75% of the total output could be consumed by this bird. And up to 50% of production cost go into bird scaring, which is a very, very big problem. Now, the goal of our research is to bridge the gap between what we have currently and where we need to be through the development of autonomous unmanned aerial vehicle capable of preventing this pest from farm, developing pest detection algorithm, and testing and evaluating this system to see the determination of the social and the cultural influence of smart farming. This is our architectural design where we believe farmers employ this on farm. They go to the farm, see what could affect their farm, and because over time they are smart, they know when this pest affect the damage they can cause. So we decided to, the idea, put it into smart farming where we have trained machines to be able to learn over time some of these processes and be able to take decisions so that farmers can use their time for something else. So we have a farm where images are picked, images are sensed using cameras, and these images are already trained using learning algorithms. And these algorithms will actuate actuators to be able to prevent pests on the farm. Now, in trying to achieve this, we gathered data from pests, about 4,200 label data of these pests we gathered. We also gathered images that are not destructive. They are not harmful to the farm. About 4,600 images. These images were now, features were extracted from these images. And the features which were considered are hair-like features, local binary pattern, and histogram of gradients. These features were now used to train, these labeled features were now used to train boost algorithm, other boost algorithm. And this is explanation of some of the features which were extracted. Now, the adaptive boost algorithm uses features extracted from the object of interest. It uses the polarity indicated in the indicating the direction of the inequality. It uses threshold, and it uses the window size of the image to train itself over time so that it be able to detect the object of interest. Now, the images, once it is detected, the images return, the detected object of interest return the location of the object in the image. And this location is now used as input to our unmanned aerial vehicle. So it returns the center of the coordinate and other coordinates so that we will use it to control our unmanned vehicle. Now, this is the control algorithm. We have a desired position and our previous position. So we generate an error. This error will give us the position of the object of interest. And if we differentiate over, if we force differentiation, will give us the velocity needed for the unmanned aerial vehicle. And the second differentiation will give us the acceleration needed for the unmanned aerial vehicle. So at a point, we can have our drone or unmanned aerial vehicle detecting an object of interest and follow the object of interest so as to chase in a form chasing the pest or the object of interest away from the farm. Now, this is some of the inputs into our unmanned aerial vehicle, controlling the degree of freedom of our unmanned aerial vehicle. Now, our detection, we evaluated how good, our detection had performed using figures of merit. We use sensitivity, specificity, the accuracy of the detection, and the precision of the detection. And from the figures, it can show that for sensitivity, our local barrier pattern performs better, while for specificity, hair-like features, the accuracy, we have hair-like features, and for precision, hair-like features perform better. Now, this is the detection, our result, detecting the object of interest and returning the various positions of the object of interest. This is the position of our unmanned vehicle, tracing the various positions of the object of interest, following the object of interest. Conclusion. The study was able to develop a bird scaring system using camera sensors to sense the presence of bird on farm, recognize the pest from its surrounding, activate actuators to scare birds away, thereby preventing pests from destroying the cultivated crop. We also found out that the accuracy of our LI features is far better than the other features which we extracted from the object of interest. The information was used as input to define the motion of the unmanned aerial vehicle in flight. The position was achieved using cascade PID controllers, generating a desired velocity and altitude set point respectively. The control structure enables intuitive tuning of parameters and a simple algorithm implementation. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for your. It just reminds me of in my own, village we normally have Ogbomoso. That is when you get there, you just see some object, scary object, and something of that nature. So, but when we get to the question time, I have one question for you, maybe for you to get it incorporated in your future something. Thank you. So, having said that, I think on that basis, we will one last person online, and we allow him to, and that will be the end of something so far. Okay. Is it still there?
Online presentation, are you still there? Okay, yes. Okay, all right. Let me do that.
It's there. So that's Dr. Adefuye O, and is presenting on the finite volume analysis of temperature distribution in a circular fan.
Okay. Coming. Okay. Okay. Good day, everyone. Standing on the existing protocol. The presentation is on finite volume analysis of temperature distribution in a circular film. And the authors are Adefuyi Oye, Fadipe Oye, Oshale J.I., and Ogundari A.A. When we talk about fin, basically fin is like an extended surface, and basically we use it to basically we want to increase the heat transfer within the environment by a means of what we call convection. The fin stands to enhance its dissipation on a hot surface, and it has a various applications in our refrigeration, air condition, engines, and transformer. We all have fins there. Basically, there are various types of fin. As you can see here, we have a rectangular profile, a trapezoidal profile, a triangular, and so on, which you can see. And there have been so many applications of fin, which Becquerel and Kuba in 2016 did about some application as a cooling device for microchips. A fin can also be used. Also, we can see that Oxane et al. 2013 investigate our fin and geometric and their different concessions in order to increase the heat transfer correction and decrease the flow resistance. In this case, basically what we want to consider is a circular fin. As you can see the geometry by the and we have to talk about some assumption we use. We consider it to be one dimensional, and there is no heat generation, and a constant thermal conductivity is assumed for the material as well. This just showing the mathematical equation expression which we use, and these are the boundary condition. Now, for us to be able to solve these differential equation, finite volume was used. Okay, this was it. Now we consider two boundary conditions, which is the first one is adiabatic. This is showing the schematic diagram of it, and this is showing at any node. Now this is the finite volume expression APTP, AWTW, AT, and T. The AW is showing the coefficient of the west, and TW is the temperature at the west station, the east. That's how we did it, and the source, that's our XU, which we have the various, when we discretize the, so can you still see my slide, please?
Yes, we are with you.
Okay, when we discretize the equation, we have the various 0, 1 over A, and these are the expression we have. And when we do, this is for the internal load. From I is equals to 2 to N minus 1. These are the values we got for all the internal node values. Then for when I is equals to N, we did for the adiabatic, which are the values we have here. Also, we consider again, the first one was we consider either when the condition here is adiabatic. Why that condition here was when it's convective. That means a means of air is there to blow the air away. As well as we've done it at the initial node, we have this, as well as the interior node, we have this, and then at the end node, we have all of this. Okay, for the material we consider a carbon steel, and these are the various data analysis, the diameter, the perimeter of what we use for our analysis. And we consider for various material, for copper, for zinc, for carbon, and for aluminum, and also for various conductivity. To analyze the graph, MATLAB was used, and we tried to do a comparison between our numerical solution as well as physical solution. So the analytical solution is always the most accurate one. There is a close comparison there is a close comparison between the finite volume method and analytical solution, which you can see here, and we also try and subtract the analytical from the finite volume to be able to show the error. Also as well, we compare some of our volume in a convective measure when we have a carbon steel. which we have the finite bond layer, the analytical, when we have a convective fin at the tip, because we have two types. We have the adiabatic tip, which is this we've done, and as well as doing it for the convective fin, and at the boundary head, and also checking the error between them. This is also for when we consider various material. This is for the copper fin, drawing for the adiabatic and the convective, for the aluminum film as well, for the zinc material as well, and for a carbon steel, just for various materials. Then also we compare for different thermal conductivity, which you can see here with the legend which we have here. In conclusion, this paper was used to, finite volume analysis was used to determine temperature distribution in a circular film. Finite volume was used to get the temperature distribution, and we compare the analytical solution as well as the numerical results. And we could see that the adiabatic tip has a much higher temperature than the convective tip, which we observe towards the tip of the fin. As when we go back here, we can see that this is quite higher towards here than when we have the adiabatic section for the various. Also, in the last film, we could see that the thermal conductivity value is closer to the wall of the temperature, and the heat transfer rate increase. This is showing this last one, as you can see here, that the higher the stuff, you can see that they have much higher value than the lower one, which their value is lower. So that's what we are trying to say in the last page. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Now, question. Any question for? Now, let's go to the question and answering section, because time is. This is past 4, and we're supposed to have left this. Question from the audience. Question? Yeah. I think I have a question for Dr. Ogbomoso. Right. Yeah, thank you very much. You are the one that work on the X-ray images to compare statistics, to compare optimized and non-optimized, CNN for normal and COVID patients. So I've gone through the something. I think that is a very good. But my own worry here is, it is true that COVID-19, because in your presentation, you all of us, you made, you all of us came up with defect of RT-PCR, that it gives what we call a false positive result based on goal 21. But that statement, you didn't give us, if you just say false statement because somebody has actually presented, a paper or published a paper, to what extent? Because what you have there, it was a sort of a generalized something. Maybe in some cases, I think I would have loved the situation, and if you go through that particular publication, it might not be the way you put it that you have actually reflected it. If you say in some cases, because I based on that, I now have a fear that how did you get the confirmation for the COVID-19 patient that you used? Was it not based on RT-PCR, or was based on just whatever there? That's my decision. And if that is the case, then you also know that we have some other respiratory, viral associated ailments that may mimic COVID-19 symptoms. Then how have you been able to separate something of that nature from your decision there? so that that one will not actually interfere with the inherent, optimization method you have proposed. That's my own question.
I think I'm going to answer the second question. Actually, the database we use was limited to a particular locality. In the write-up, we actually make a suggestion of probably joining at least maybe like 10 databases from different localities so that we'll be able to generalize our results. And for the case of how do I come about, even maybe with respect to other researchers that has actually worked. What we actually did is that we discovered that there is no perfect system. And the major issue about most of those techniques that has been developed is that they still have this issue of high false positive. And what we are able to do with the techniques we developed, to some reasonable extent, we are able to reduce the number of false positive, because the more the reduction of false positive, the better the accuracy.
Thank you. You see, your method, for you to come up with this, maybe you have to make use of other database that will be incorporated into that. So that is, it's all right. So, Dr. Ojoawo, yes, I have. When I don't know, people say they don't have questions for you, but I have one or two questions for you. Yeah, because you presented, you are the one that actually used Moringa oleifera as a supplement, which is very, very good, because as against the usual grass, something that majority have been there. But your target, using Moringa oleifera, you're supposed to have a target. Are you putting the protein or other, nutrient components that one has to be stressed? Because I only had protein components from the initial something that you said, and that can also be seen in the tissue that you did. Yeah. So I would have loved that those components that you said you are looking for, maybe 1 or 2, 3 components that you are examining from the Moringa oleifera, you have to be full of phosphate. That's 1. 2. Then I want to also know is that whether you did some set of a replicate of the experiment that you did. So if you actually did that, then I cannot see any statistical analysis to justify the result. Although you told us that your result somehow statistically significant, and that significance is not actually reflecting in your presentation. So all these things have to be incorporated if you really want to go further for publish this work. Okay? But meanwhile, you can answer that question that I put before.
Thank you very much, sir. I will start from the second aspect. The design, statistical design, was Latin square design, which involves the use of few animals replicated at different periods. I used 5 periods with the average of 28 days for a period. So the same set of animals, after observing a rest period of 2 weeks, were randomly reassigned. So because of that design, we have replicates, but because of the way it is, it will not reflect therein. And it was also subjected to statistical analysis using SAS version. Yes, I mentioned it, not in the slide, but I said it. P-value, okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Then to the first one, talking about the target. Yeah. The target is the protein. Yeah. Because we are looking at if the protein level in the animals could be improved, then definitely human protein will also be improved. Thank you, sir.
Then, lastly, for Dr. Dr. Adebayo, you are the one that used, my own design. I love the, because that's a robotic way of trying to scare the pests from, destroying our farms and the farm produce or something. But, you see, I just think using sound-based algorithm, we also serve something of that nature. Because when you design it, something like, if we immediately the sensor thinks that there is a bug or there is a pest as well, then it makes sound, brown, 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 brown. So it scares them away than the bulb that is doing like this. Some of them will even be very, very careful and say they want to look at what is doing there. But sound, they will have to, are you getting the learning? So that's what I just say to cover there. But maybe you have superior something that.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, I didn't include it in my presentation because there's another group that is working on that. We are looking at sound, light, and distress call, those three. And there's a preliminary result that they actuate, after a while, it doesn't scare them any longer. In fact, some of them, from the research we did, especially those quilla birds, once they hear the sound, they bend down. In fact, we've discovered that. So the sound, the lightning, after a while, in fact, for sound, I think it's about 15 days continuously. They get actuated to, they get accustomed to it. They don't scare them. So we are now combining all of them. If you see it in my design, I showed sound. There's a group that is working on that, and we'll be presenting the results once it's out.
So that means you can now use combine at different intervals. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for this. So on that basis, I will hand over to a rapporteur to give us what we have done so far, and so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have been able to look at listen to 10 presentations. We had 6 in the first section, and the last one we have 4 presentations. The first one was estimation of safe particulate threshold for better radio signal strength using response service methodology, presented by Juma O. Ahmed. That work aimed to study the effect of particulate on radio signal strength. And part of the objective was to examine the effect of pollutant on radio signal strength. WEFM 106.3 megahertz Abuja was used. They obtained data from CAR, NASDA, Abuja. Design expert 6.0.8 was used. At the end of everything, they observed the specific, it was observed that the specific particulate investigator exhibited both linear and inverse relationship with signal strength. And in their conclusion, the mathematical model that was formulated was very effective for predicting safe particulate threshold for better radio signal strength. I move to the second presentation, which with the title, Characterization of Radio Wave Propagation through Metallic Materials, presented by Odedele D.Ho. The research characterized the radio wave propagation through metallic materials. They chose copper and iron as the materials due to availability. They had simulation results, and at the end of everything, the paper was able to establish through simulation that as the width of the metal is increased from 1 mm to 10 mm, the transmission coefficient decreases even to 0 decibel, whereas the reflection coefficient continues to rise. Presentation 3 was titled Performance Analysis of Beamforming Based Multiple Output Orthogonal Frequency Division Multiplexing System with Different Modulation Scheme over Relay Fading Distribution. It was presented by Ojerinde I.A. The paper proposed a beamforming based BIMO OFDM to solve some problems. They developed a MIMO OFDM system with beaming over relay, and they made some they established some facts at the end of the presentation, which I couldn't put some things down under that. The fourth presentation was the one presented by Dr. Akambiji Ho on achieving the SDG goal in Oyo State, the need for adequate provision of teachers in primary school. I think several questions have been raised. She made us to know that the minimum number of teachers in primary school should be 15. As we know that availability of teachers in primary school, both in urban and rural areas, is very, very important. That's SDG. She dealt with SDG 4. And she said that SDG 4 has 10 targets. And part of what she said was that teachers must be recognized as primary contributors. She said that the 33 local government in Oyo State was used. They selected one from each local government randomly. But out of all the local governments selected, 5 local governments met the minimum requirement of 15 teachers. And part of our findings said there are discrepancies in the availability of teachers between urban and rural public primary schools. Schools in rural areas don't have enough teachers. Teachers have not been employed to primary schools since 2015. She recommended that the government should recruit teachers, and teachers should be trained. There should be provision of incentives, especially to those in rural areas. Presentation number 5 was titled Numerical Analysis of the Impact of Thermophysical Properties of copper oxide water-based nanofluid on the effectiveness of parabolic trough solar concentrator, presented by Sankotayo OE. They aim to investigate the effect of thermophysical properties, and the work presented a numerical examination of the influence of thermophysical properties of copper oxide water-based nanofluids on the effectiveness of the parabolic trough solar concentrator. The method used, they used governing equations of nanofluid, and C++ program was developed. In their results, nanoparticle size has a significant effect on the thermal characteristics of the nanofluid, part of their findings. They also said that an increase in mass flow rate yield enhancement in heat transfer characteristics of the nanofluid. They concluded by saying that the suspended nanoparticles significantly change the thermal characteristics of the suspension, which determines application. And the specific heat of nanofluid serve as one of the enhancers. The 6th presentation was on Laplace transformation based on cryptographic. The research focused on keeping sensitive information secured from intruders with the use of this end-to-end thing. The keeping sensitive information secured from intruders. Okay, I said that. Cryptography was used to protect mobile communication